rockers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing very well. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, not in the mood to get ready today. Not in the mood to get ready, so we are dealing with Adam in a bathrobe. And one of the main reasons that today is such a challenge is sorry, I just kicked you. I'm sorry, I just kicked the tripod. Are you okay? Sorry. One of the main that today is a challenge is because I am being presented with a clip of Trisha Paytas against my will that is just the most hypocritical thing I think we have ever seen from Trisha Paytas. No, and we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of controversial things. We've seen a lot of things that contradict each other. With Trisha, it's so unbelievably whatever way. Like, you can grasp any narrative with Trisha, and Trisha's probably done it before, if we're being honest. Now, Shane Dawson is obviously back on YouTube. We're aware of this. We talked about this yesterday. He came back with a 40-minute long video, which basically was just 40 minutes of him walking around his new house, talking about his new life, and kind of making jokes here and there about the cancellation. The video has done well. It is at like 2 million views. It was on the YouTube trending page. Now keep in mind, who was one of the main people that whenever they turned against Shane, they turned against Shane? Yes, that person was Trisha Paytas. Now, the thing was as well, a lot of people were like, Adam, wait, Trisha was defending Shane. If you need a little recap on this narrative on what was happening, whenever Shane was getting cancelled, Trisha was the #1 person defending Shane. Basically, that people are taking things out of context, that people care too much about old clips, that Shane's a good person, Shane's been good to me, people are just evil, cancel culture's bad. Just all of these different things, Trisha attacking other people, attacking James, attacking Taddy, trying to get all attention off Shane at that time. And a lot of people, including myself, were like, we don't agree with what Trisha's doing, but they're one hell of a loyal friend in this situation for defending Shane. Well, anyway, that completely did a 180 in itself whenever Shane did something that upset Trisha Paytas a couple months later, whenever Shane took Jeffree Star's side over a fight between Jeffree Star and Trisha Paytas. And that's whenever the videos from Shane were too far for Trisha. That's when the jokes were too disgusting. That's when Shane was a bad person. That's when Shane deserved to be cancelled. That's when Ryland deserved to be cancelled. And that's when the narrative changed with Trisha. So Trisha was very pro Shane and was even more anti Shane whenever Shane had pissed them off. So Trisha didn't care about any of the clips about Shane, which makes sense because Trisha has their own videos like that out there. Didn't care about any of that until Shane did something to piss Trisha off, and then since then it has been very anti-Shane, anti-Ryland, anti-Jeffree from Trisha's behalf, and this was apparent on Frenemies and apparent whenever Trisha was making videos calling Shane the scum of the earth, the worst person ever, and just attacking Ryland, and it was messy, 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 messy. So now Shane is back on YouTube and the video again is doing well. What is Trisha's response to this? Trisha hasn't really been speaking up about it. We haven't seen tweets from Trisha, we haven't seen videos. This is because we are going to talk about this, but Trisha is being so weird on social media right now, and I don't care what people are saying, this is not something that literally any content creator should be doing, and especially one like Trisha, who has criticized Gabby Hanna and others for doing the same thing. So basically, Trisha Paytas appears silent right now, but is only creating content for those who are paying. For YouTube members, Trisha is doing live streams and videos, and in these is talking about the people that, you know, they said they weren't going to talk about. One of those people being Shane Dawson. Someone leaked the clip and it is out there now. It is a minute-long clip of Trisha talking about their opinion on, you know, Shane being back and the video being so successful. So I want to take a moment, because I've been talking a lot and I've been talking very quickly. I want to ask you what you think Trisha's response is to Shane coming back and it being very well received. Because if you think about it, if Trisha had not turned against Shane, surely Trisha would have a shoulder to fall back on right now, because that was Ethan, and then Trisha turned on Shane whenever Trisha had Ethan, right? And whenever Trisha had, you know, it was the other swap around. So it's always whenever there's someone, there's someone. Now there's no one, there's no Shane, there's no Ethan. What do you think Trisha's response is? Do you think Trisha is going to keep the same attitude that they had towards Shane? Do you think it's going to be changed? I just want to give you a second to kind of think. So please comment below, without us watching this clip, what you think Trisha is going to say about Shane's return to YouTube. And Shane as a person, his maybe growth, maybe not growth, maybe he's still the scum of the earth to Trisha Paytas. I'm just gonna leave it 10 seconds. Please write a comment. 876543321. Well, what I thought was gonna happen whenever I heard that this clip was going around was that I thought that Trisha was going to probably just keep consistent, because at this stage, Trisha has no consistency, so you would think that, you know, Trisha would want to add things in that have been, you know, coming against them in recent times, like the Shane thing, like the Ethan thing. You would try to keep it as consistent as possible in the narrative of, Trisha, you've been very anti-Shane. Wouldn't you keep it like that? You know, if the things that Shane has done has upset you so much, if the controversial things have triggered you so much, if him as a friend was so bad, if he's been using his platform wrong, if Ryland's a bad person, if Jeffrey's a bad person, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be kind of where you're at with it? Or would Trisha Paytas start to completely change the narrative of their opinion of Shane, because Shane no longer isn't just off of YouTube and an easier target, but is back on YouTube and is doing very successfully? So do you think that Trisha would maybe completely start to change the opinion of Shane because it's now very convenient too, and start to be very easy on him? Maybe be like, I have no Ethan anymore, please Shane, come back, come back, come back. Bring him over with some cats, you know what I mean? Do you think that that was the possible one? Because I hate to break it to you, Mucker, that is exactly what has happened. Trisha is now on fucking video saying that, you know what? Shane is able to come back. Shane's video is great. Shane deserves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 chances, all these different things. And you know why Trisha is saying this? Because Trisha then relates it back to themselves and say, you know, I think we all deserve this amount of chances. We all make mistakes. And the thing about it that's so funny is because Trisha says in this video the exact things that Trisha said against Shane. Trisha said that people deserve 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, plus chances. But last summer, Trisha Paytas was saying that, you know, once you get a certain amount of chances, surely you would have learned by that stage. So that is one thing that has been inconsistent. So let's just get the video up and let's talk about it. So it's just also very interesting to me that Trisha is staying with just uploading videos to people who are paying, because less than a month ago, less than 2 months ago, this is exactly something that Trisha was saying that Gabby Hanna is manipulating her audience for doing, because Gabby Hanna has an OnlyFans page where she like posts poems. Sorry, that is Dolly kicking the tripod. And also has the Patreon where she uploads poems on it as well. So Gabby has that and uploads the podcasts that Gabby does on those. And Trisha has heavily criticized Gabby for doing that, because it's using people's money, it's exploitative, it's manipulative, and it's, you know, hiding from the truth and it's hiding from the public. However, let me just tell you, Fishy Potatoes is doing the exact same thing. So let's get to the clip and let's hear how Trisha's opinion of Shane, the scum of the earth, in Trisha's opinion, has changed now that Shane came back and the video was received well.
I'm so upset Shane got so many views, he needed to stay canceled. Here is my take on this. Ooh. And like, honestly, again, I'm trying not to talk about people in general. Like,
I'm trying not to talk about people, but let me talk about them.
I think everyone makes mistakes. I think everyone deserves to be forgiven. I feel like... Isn't it funny that Trisha's full thing now is forgiveness and we all make mistakes, because Trisha is in so deep with this Moses scandal and is in so deep with all of the old videos of, you know, her coming forward. It's interesting how it's like convenient to change that everybody makes mistakes, everybody has those days, right? You know, everyone deserves second, third chances, and it's like, you, like as a public figure, do you have to give that? No, if you don't like him, you don't like him. But you know, he has something that is just very charming and magnetic, and people like him. And I think, again,
doesn't this literally sound like, I'm sorry, doesn't this sound like Trisha is being held hostage? Like, I'm sorry, like this is the way Trisha is. This last part was like so, like literally like.
But
wait,
you know,
like someone was like holding, like,
he has something that is just very charming and magnetic.
Reading a script.
People like him, and I think, again, I think like, no, who wants to put anyone in a dark place? Again, if you don't want to support.
Who wants to put anyone in a dark place? Who was the one who uploaded so many videos on Shane and Ryland calling them out? And now and it's not even like Trisha is like switching her opinion because like she thinks like he deserves better or whatever. Trisha was being presented with Shane's video is doing really well, what's your opinion of it? And Trisha's like, you know what, he deserved that forgiveness. And you know who also deserves forgiveness? Someone whose name begins with T and ends in Trisha Paytas. Dear Lord.
Totally understand that. It's like with me. I understand
with me, this is what it boils down to. This is what it's referring back to. Trisha talking and relating someone else being able to come back from it and saying, but what about me?
For me, and it's totally fine, but like I do believe like second, third, fourth chances. So I'm just gonna...
Alright, Lord God, it's just so bizarre. Like, you know what, if Trisha was like to do all this and double down on it, at least I would respect that a little bit. But whenever you're constantly flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, whenever you're like directly involved with these people like Trisha is with Shane and Ethan and stuff like that, it's so exhausting and so fake. I really would like to know where you're at with this. It just seems extremely convenient that Trisha is able to, it's not even just like switching up the opinion, right? Because we can all change our opinion on things. But just with this, it's the way it was presented, right? That Shane was able to come back unscathed in a way, right? And Trisha was just able to like, particularly read that question, right? Because the way that this members thing is that people pay for like a monthly subscription and then they do these live streams, they can ask Trisha questions and Trisha responds to whatever ones they want, right? It's just insanely, it's almost like belittling in a way. Like, does Trisha not find it embarrassing the way that they're constantly, especially whenever things get really bad like they did with Ethan and especially Shane a couple months ago, the constant, where am I with this person? Privately, publicly, professionally. And it's like, how does Shane react in this situation? Whenever he's now seeing these videos of Trisha being like, oh my god, I'm so happy, he's such a likable person, you know, people will always gravitate towards him, and I'm so happy the video's doing well, and you know, we all deserve first, second, third chances. It's like, from Shane's point of view, if you like him or not, he's gonna watch that and be like, bitch, like, this is so convenient for you to like, jump on this, be a lead factor in, while all we were talking, you know, whenever we were getting the text messages and Shane doing this and Shane doing that from Trisha, and it's like, alright, like, that worked to an extent, but like, it didn't work enough for you to like, care about me now. It's just like, it's super embarrassing, Trisha. It's like, you didn't have to answer this question, by the way, with these member things. You do them a lot, you can pick and choose, and you knew that this clip was gonna go round, which it has. And the reaction to this has just been people being like, wow, Trisha really can't just, you know, defend or be against someone. It's always comes and goes. And I'm gonna tell you now, there'll probably be a time very soon where we're gonna start seeing like publicly Trisha reach out to Shane, and we'll see what happens if that's reciprocated back. I honestly think it would be incredibly stupid for Shane to do that, to even engage in that, because I think you saw how much Trisha was affected by Shane, obviously, apparently, allegedly, whenever Trisha was speaking up against him for the past few months. And obviously that's, you know what I mean? It's like, Trisha was really against this guy. He was really against this guy. We saw the videos, we did live streams on them, we saw the texts. The narrative was Shane shit-talking Trisha to Peter Mon, Shane shit-talking Trisha to this person, then text messages, and bully, and hair by Jay, and everyone teaming up against Trisha, and Shane's bad content, and then Trisha, remember, hadn't watched the D'Angelo Wallace video because they were defending Shane, and then they said that they finally watched the D'Angelo video, and they thought it was so disgusting, and the content Shane made was so revolting, and it was just like, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, like not even in like a, not in an entertaining way, and not in a way that's easy to follow. So that's why people are so confused when they're seeing Trisha now speak nicely about Shane. They're like, oh, Trisha's been doing that all along. And we're like, no, if you're involved in it, you know that the main reason that the Shane cancellation or the Shane events that were so dragged on was because they started dying out. They really did. People, you know, we're not talking about a D'Angelo Wallace video for months upon months upon months. They did for a long time, but then obviously, you know, news goes on or whatever. It picked back up again whenever Trisha decided to hop on it from being upset about the Hair by Jay situation, then started dragging Ryland and Shane, and it got so much more, and then the text messages, and that extended it like another 3 months. It's like, I know I'm like going in circles with this news, especially with Trisha, and it's like, how do you feel as a viewer? I want to know where you're at with it. We'll talk about it below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Dear Lord, bye.